Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, and we are again coming to you from the Tracy Memorial Library here in New London, where they believe in the First Amendment that mandates the right of all persons to free expression and the corollary right to receive the constitutionally protected expression of others. Today, our Laura James will hear about the Dance Arts Academy and the value of dance and movement to the development of children. 'Tis the season, so we'll be heading over to Harding Hill Maple Syrup Operations for a tour of their facilities. And we'll close with Keith Coughlin with a rundown of the summer 2024 season at the new London Barn Playhouse. But first, these messages from another good local business that makes today's show possible. Remember, buying local is an important way to sustain the communities and programs we all love.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. There are a lot of ways for our young folks to develop their physical and mental skills. One way is through dance and movement. Our Laura James had a chance to sit down with Ashley Rowley to talk about the Dance Arts Academy and their value of their program. Hi, Laura.
Thanks so much, Abby. We are visiting with a very familiar face to the community, Ashley Rowley. Hi,
hello,
how are you?
It's nice to see you
Good
again.
Good to see you too. Now, of course, you know you're from Lake Sunapee Region Chamber of Commerce, but you're also a local business owner.
I am.
Yes.
So I think that kind of gives me a little bit of a leg up in my position at the Chamber, because I kind of do know a little bit of what our small business folks need. So Dance Arts Academy is in Sunapee. We've been there for 8 years, which again seems wild.
It seems like yesterday.
I know,
doesn't it?
right? We're already looking at what are we going to do to celebrate our 10th anniversary.
Oh my gosh!
So we have a staff of 6 at the studio. Any given year we have about 125, 150 students. We do year.
Hold on, slow down.
Yeah.
How many?
125 to 150 students.
Wow, that's a lot of children you're servicing.
Yeah, and we have year-round programming. So usually we follow a school schedule as best we can. So September till June is usually what our main dance program looks like. And then we also have summer camps and summer programs throughout June, July, and August. And we're right in Sunapee, right off the George's Mill Hill. So some people, when you come, you're like, well, what am I pulling into here?
Right.
The sign's the sign is right there off the roadway, and then you'll see our building in the in the back.
Okay, so you're located in Sunapee, George's Mill, Sunapee.
Right.
And so what age group are you servicing and geographic area?
Sure. So we actually have students from Lebanon. We have students from Claremont. We have students from Concord. It's because it's right next to the highway. It makes it very, very easy for people to get to us, which, to be honest, 8 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a terrible location for us. But
Perfect.
As the times progressed, I was like, oh my gosh, we're getting students from so many places we didn't expect. So it's definitely been a blessing for us. We have students all the way, as long as they're potty trained, so 2 and 3.
Oh, wow.
All the way up to adults.
Wonderful.
Our adult program is a little scattered, few and far between, depending on interest, depending on time of year. We all have busy schedules, and it's really hard to kind of give ourselves something.
Sure.
More often than not, we're giving our kids something, right?
That's right.
So you're making sure your kids get to all their activities, and kind of what you need is on the back burner. But hopefully, if anyone is interested, please reach out, because we do have some adult programming, which is helpful.
Well, it's the whole movement piece. That's so important.
So a body in motion stays in motion. We always tell the kids that all the time. They want to be on their couches, they want to be surfing, they want to be tablet timing. Exactly,
right, on their phones, right?
They want to do all that. But kids kind of pick. They start off trying everything. And I am a huge proponent for trying as much as you can. T-ball, softball, soccer, dance, gymnastics, whatever it might be, Girl Scouts, all of that. Try what you want, and then you'll kind of feel where it fits and what feels good to you, and where you feel as though you're most successful. And a lot of our students, they'll try their classes, and then they'll kind of go try something different, and then they'll be back. And I think it's partly due to the environment. We really want to make sure we're offering a welcoming and an all-inclusive space. but I also think it's because of the movement piece. I think it's because, there's this balance between, okay, I'm here, I'm having fun, I'm learning something, but at the same time, I'm able to have a little bit of that self-expression. I'm able to move around the room, I'm able to learn how to move my body in different ways. And honestly, it's really great exercise, but it's also really great exercise for the mind, not just the body.
It seems to be a huge connection between that movement piece and the confidence that is instilled.
Absolutely. I can't tell you, there are numerous times when I have seen a child, when they've started, being very kind of, I wouldn't say introverted, but very, very self-aware in a very kind of unfortunate way. Yeah. And then they've transitioned and they've had these classes, and every week is a little better, every week's a little bit different, and you kind of see that personal growth. And then all of a sudden you see them on stage at a show and you're like, where did you come from?
Isn't that
Where did you come from? It happens a lot. And it's just one of those things, when kids start to feel confident and comfortable with who they are, I think they show their true colors, and then they bring it out all on the stage, and then everybody in the audience is so proud of them, and there's just this such a familial love, that we kind of support all of those
Well, what are
kids.
some of the comments you hear from the parents and the guardians of
So
families?
people love the environment. They love the fact that they feel so comfortable dropping their student off. A lot of our families will sign up for multiple classes in a row. So, they have maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours every week at the studio doing whatever classes they might be doing. Parents love it. Usually, this sounds silly, but when we have our shows, I always ask grandfathers, dads, and brothers how the show goes. Because when our job is to create a performance that people really enjoy and want to come to as much and as often as they can.
Sure.
So every show I always ask that demographic, because if they are interested and engaged, then you've done something right? Moms will forever be in the audience going, woo, this is the best, right? So they'll always be that forever champion. But if you get the little brother who is on the edge of his seat waiting for the next piece.
You've done something right.
Exactly.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and we have a lot of great feedback from that demographic. So
tell us about some specifics about the program. What type of
So we
courses?
offer every style of dance. So from ballet, tap, jazz, lyrical, contemporary, hip hop, all of it. We would love to be able to expand a little further into some Irish step. We'd love to be able to offer some ballroom. But right now we try to bring in guest teachers for those styles.
Sure.
Because we do feel as though if you're learning about the performing arts, you should try your best to learn about all of the performing arts and not just one. We don't want anyone to be pigeonholed into one particular style. The kids kind of, as they go through, they end up finding what fits, I'm a complete jazz musical theater lover. That's where I feel I thrive. But some other people, one of my other teachers is completely hip hop. She loves it. She's loved it since she was little.
That's great.
And then we have another teacher who's completely 100% ballet. Ballet is how she grew up and what she has trained in, and that's what she wants to provide to the kids. So everyone kind of finds their path.
Sure.
But we think it's important for the kids to try them all. As they kind of get older, we start with our youngest with a creative movement style class. So it's really more learning about hand holding, learning about skipping, learning about finding your space on the stage, learning about, taking turns sometimes. And what's crazy is after the pandemic, we realized after we brought kids back to the classroom, how many students didn't know how to be with other kids.
That's socialization piece.
Right. And so even something like when we were growing up, the follow the leader concept, right?
Right.
So someone's in front and they're doing the same thing. The students had no idea how to do that.
That's so sad. I know.
Right, and so it gave us a new. I actually had one of my teachers who came downstairs, and she was after one of the classes, and she was completely emotional because she had realized how much these kids had missed out on.
Right.
So we just kind of pivoted, and we said, all right, what are some of the basic skills that these kids need to know? If they're learning some of these things in preschool, they're learning some of these things in kindergarten, but how can we assist with that? And so we kind of pivoted our curriculum a little bit to make sure that those kids were learning those things, because that's a huge stepping stone.
And actually post-COVID in the schools, that social emotional growth and development is really what's being focused on.
Right.
It sounds like you're doing the same thing?
Yes, we're trying to. We try to be kind of that kind of additional arm to what they're learning in school. And we have a lot of families who actually have employees in the school district, so it's nice to kind of hear what we're doing is very similar to what they're teaching in their classrooms. And then of course the kids will also bring that in. Oh, we do this in school. So it's one of those things where it comes full circle. And so they know it and they're familiar with it, and then they just get better at it every year or every program that they do. So.
Well, the enthusiasm that you're showing me right now and just describing it makes me say, come on, Abby, let's go.
I know, right?
Yeah. Really, because
absolutely.
it's just so wonderful.
We had our adult session last year. We had 10 adults who took that session.
It's wonderful.
And they also volunteered to do the show. So sometimes taking the class is one thing, but performing on stage can be a little nerve-wracking. But they signed up and we went for it. So
well, that was my question. Do all the students who attend, do they have to be in the shows?
Of course not. No.
Okay.
If there's someone who's not confident or comfortable doing that kind of thing, they absolutely don't have to. It's usual that they will. We have a lot of students who it's a transition for them to get to that point. So we have a lot of staff in the wings, especially for our youngest dancers, because there's that moment, right, of panic, right? Where's mom? Where's dad? Like,
yes.
What am I doing here? And then all of a sudden they get out there and they hear their music, they're in their costumes, and then they see, their teacher in the front or on the sides, and it all starts to click a little bit, but it takes some time to get there. So just providing kind of that comforting, growing space for them. It's important for them to learn that you can do it. You absolutely can. You have the skills, you are strong, you're brave, you're confident, and we can make this happen.
So that's amazing. I mean, there is just so much, that you offer to the students, and it's been going on for 8 years now.
Yes, it has. Yes.
Okay. So did you start in a smaller way and then develop into a larger program?
Absolutely. Yes.
Tell us
it was
about that.
definitely one of those things. So some people might remember Kelly Bogan, who was actually an employee of Colby-Sawyer College. So she actually had that building before we actually leased it. And she had her own dance and fitness place there. So it was kind of like, it was a weird kismet. The world kind of, the stars aligned, and we were looking for a place, and Missy Owen, actually, the wonderful Missy Owen, reached out and said, I think you should maybe look at this. And I was like, oh my goodness.
This is good advice.
So it is so wild that it all kind of came together. And here we are 8 years later. It's certainly been progressive. We have to take small steps. You have to walk before you can run.
Sure.
So we're looking at, what are we going to do year 10? What are we going to do year 15? What are we going to do year 20? So we have a lot. We're hoping to be around forever and a day. This is my home. This is where I live, and I will forever do what I can to help.
Well, we spoke earlier. You're thinking about planning the 10-year decade anniversary party.
What's going on for the decade?
What would you like to see have the future hold for you?
So I have always envisioned a celebration in the community of just dance in general. There's actually a National Dance Day in September. And I've always done like an open house. I've always done something really small, but I'd love to see like a whole festival or something like that happen, which I think would be great and very manageable. I'm an events girl. Anyone who knows me knows I will do any and every event asked of me.
To have a splash.
I love it. I just love events.
It's wonderful.
But I think that would be really great for us to kind of look at in year 10, is to try and get something like that started and maybe on the calendar long term. Maybe it's an annual event, just because it's something that not only gets the kids involved, but also could get our community involved as well.
And before we wrap things up, I have to ask you, is there a best time for someone to get their student, their child, or themselves involved, time of year? So
usually it's the start of the season. So you're going to look at September, October. Those are usually when we get the majority of students enrolled. But we do get a few kind of November, December kids, especially after the soccer season and some of the other sports seasons kind of wind down a little bit. So it's definitely the latter half of a year is when you're going to get some of that interest. The summer season, we do have summer camps and summer programming, so that's a great way to kind of get your feet wet without actually fully jumping in. We have dance discovery days, we have sensational camps, so those are ways that kids can kind of try it out before actually signing up for a full year program.
That's wonderful. So even during the summer, so a sensational program, it's like a week-long program? Or
yes, so it's a week-long day camp.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, we have only seats for 12 students. So we keep our camps very, very small for a few different reasons. It's also a learning opportunity for our counselors in training. So we have CITs who are age 13 and above. They take a day-long kind of workshop with us about what is it like to work with students, and then they're kind of shadowing the teacher for the camp. So they're learning a little bit about what it takes to put that program on. How do you interact with students? How do you kind of facilitate play in a very positive way, because there's always kids are kids, so there's going to be situations you're going to have to deal with, and some of our CITs have been doing it for 4 years now, and they're right up till graduation, and they thoroughly enjoy it. So
What's the best way for us to find out more information?
Definitely you can reach out to us via phone or email, so 603-763-0589, or you can get us at danceartsacademynh@gmail.com.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So we can always find out more information and get the best way. So Abby, get your tap shoes ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Buckle those tap shoes up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and lots of luck, continued success.
Thank you.
Back to you, Abby.
Thank you, ladies. Check out their programs for your young ones and see the magic of their development. When we come back, Yankee Chronicle will revisit a piece we did at Harding Hill Farms maple syrup operation. But first, these words from another local business that has your and our show's future in hand.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel. The Webb family has been making maple syrup for 3 generations and over 60 years. And this year, they'll produce over 1,000 gallons. Let's hear about how they do it.
We've been making syrup since 1963. My grandfather moved to the Sunapee area in 1948, was intrigued by the neighbor down at Sanctuary Farm and their makings of maple syrup, and actually eventually took over their sugar house. I was born March 1st, so kind of right at the beginning of maple, and I think I was addicted since day one. So I've always really had a passion for maple, and kind of a dream of mine growing up was to always own my own sugar house. In 2019, my father and I kind of made the jump and decided to build our own sugar house here on property that we own adjacent to the family farm, which is just up the hill. We built the building with the ambition to have people come enjoy the sights and smells of maple syrup in a building that was still traditional, but had finally hit the modern times. We have walls that you can't see through. So there's a lot of aspects to our new building that have made it much more enjoyable for me and my family and everybody else to make maple syrup and enjoy maple syrup. We decided to maintain our kind of more of a traditional evaporator here with the open top so that you could enjoy the steam, enjoy the smells, which you are a little more limited if you have a hood and kind of encase that evaporator in stainless steel, so you capture that steam and send it outside the building. Our operation, we have 2,500 taps in 2 different orchards. All of our taps are on pipeline, all of our taps are on vacuum. We're trying for high vacuum, and under high vacuum, if we can hit anything above 0.4 gallons of syrup per tap, we're in a pretty good spot. Our sap we just collected, it was 1.8% sugar, and at 1.8% sugar it takes 50 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. With that, we use a reverse osmosis machine to reduce that ratio, and we're currently reducing it to 10% sugar, and in doing so, that 50-to-1 ratio is now down to a 8.6-to-1 ratio. And that 8.6-to-1 has now reduced our time here in the sugar house and the amount of wood that we are burning. And what the reverse osmosis machine is doing is it's actually separating the water molecule from the sugar molecule. Water is H2O, sugar is C6H12O6, so it's a much larger molecule. And under high pressure, we're separating that larger sugar molecule from the water molecule and creating distilled water as our byproduct and a concentrated sugar with the minerals and nutrients from that sap as our product that we're introducing to our evaporator here. On an average, we're adding wood every 7 minutes to our evaporator to maintain the heat that we want and evaporate as much water as we can. The concentrated sap, or 10% sugar sap, coming into the evaporator, comes into the evaporator through the float. This white pipe, we're trying to maintain about 2 inches of sap in the evaporator at all times. Anything lower gets a little bit scary. And the syrup pan, again, we have 5 chambers. Those 5 chambers are going from low concentration to higher sugar concentration until we hit about 67% sugar, where we have syrup. From there, we will take that raw syrup, run it through a filter press, introducing diatomaceous earth as our filter aid. Once it runs through that filter press, we have a nice clear syrup that we put into our canner, where we can then bottle our syrup into half pints, gallons, half gallons, and everything in between. This is what we've made on our first day of the season, which was a golden delicate. And then we've made everything from amber rich to dark robust. And this is a very dark here. And then we're slowly climbing back out again. We're hoping to try to hit amber rich again. Part of that, each grade is a flavor aspect, and that flavor aspect is determined mostly by time of year. That sugar, that lighter, delicate flavor is masked with that heavier maple flavor. Personally, I like the darker of the two. I like the dark robust and the very dark, as it has that stronger maple flavor. So we are traditionally open every weekend in March, typically about 4, and then we do about 2 weekends in April, all dependent on the season. Our hours typically are 10 to 4:30 on Saturday and Sunday, and then during the week it's kind of by chance if we're boiling, so it's best to give us a call or give us an email, and we can set up an appointment for you to come out and pick up some maple syrup. In the off season, we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram account, and then our website is hardinghillfarm.com.
Thank you, Tyler. When do they make maple syrup? Well, it's all up to Mother Nature. The ideal weather for sugar making is warm days and below freezing nights. Their maple season usually starts around March 1st. When they're making syrup, the doors are open for tours and maple sales. Have a large group? Contact them ahead to schedule. Sweet dreams. When your Yankee Chronicle returns, we'll hear from the new London Barn Playhouse's Keith Coughlin with a rundown of their 2024 summer season. Please stay with us on your Yankee Chronicle.
This program is supported by Main Street Bookends of Warner for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner.
Welcome back to your Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel, your host. Last week, we heard about the off-season activities at the new London Barn Playhouse, but the main course is, of course, the summer. Let's hear about the lineup for the summer season 92. Hi, Keith.
Thanks so much, Abby. We're thrilled to welcome you back to the new London Barn Playhouse. And while it may be a little chilly in here right now, plans for the summer season are already underway. And I'm thrilled to announce the 92nd, yes, believe it, 90 plus years of entertainment within these wonderful walls here on Main Street. And we start our season out, our 92nd summer season, just as we typically would, with the traditional Straw Hat Review, in which we introduce 14 talented young artists from all over the country who will spend their summer here in New London and show off their talents with the Straw Hat Review. Next up is truly a classic. It's actually been around for over 40 years and has not been on the Barn stage in a very long time, and that is Little Shop of Horrors. The comedy with the 1960s pop rock score will leave you laughing and a little bit scared of that giant plant on stage. Next up is another classic. One of the most family-friendly, wonderful musicals of all time. Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice's Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Based on the biblical story of Joseph and his 11 brothers and his wonderful, amazing coat of many colors, we're excited to bring it back to the Barn stage. It's been almost nearly 20 years since it's been on the Barn stage, and it's time to bring it back. We'll leave you tapping and laughing and enjoying this classic musical, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Next up is the Pulitzer Prize-winning drama, Driving Miss Daisy. Now, many of you might know it from the movie that existed, but it's a wonderful adaptation to the stage, and we're excited to bring it to the Barn. Friendship and love and a relationship that grows over decades of time will leave you heart-warmed when you see Driving Miss Daisy in the middle of the summer. I am thrilled to say that next up in our season, in the 3-week slot, is the international phenomenon Jersey Boys. The first time on the Barn stage. Boy, if you loved Beautiful in 2023, you are going to go crazy for Jersey Boys. Telling the story of Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, their rise to stardom. This jukebox musical contains all of their library of songs. And talk about toe tapping good time. We're thrilled to be bringing Jersey Boys to the Barn stage. Next up is the musical phenomenon Rent. It took New York City and Broadway by storm in the 90s and has left an indelible mark on musical theater history. Telling the story about young artists in the Lower East Side of New York City trying to find their way in the shadow of HIV and AIDS. It's actually going to be a thrilling piece for us to bring to the Barn stage for the very first time. And rounding out this exciting season full of musicals and plays and laughter, family-friendly shows and contemporary musicals is a play called Clue. And if you happen to know the movie from the 1980s that was inspired by the classic board game, this farce murder mystery is going to leave you laughing and trying to find out who done it. And we're thrilled to be rounding out our 92nd season with Clue, the play. It's going to be an exciting time. I'm thrilled to announce it to the public. Subscriptions are on sale now, and you can find out more information at nlbarn.org. But I will leave you with one more exciting piece. Coming at the top of our season for the very first time at the end of May, beginning of June, the Barn Playhouse will collaborate with Symphony New Hampshire to bring to the Barn stage South Pacific in concert, featuring 20 musicians on stage and some of your wonderful Barn vocalists, and it's going to be an exciting first time ever event at the Barn Playhouse. It's a busy time. We have got events continuing to go on in the fall and spring and winter in the Fleming Center. Exciting plans for next summer, and we hope that you'll continue to support the Barn Playhouse and come check us out. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Keith, and thank you to the community that make our little gem thrive and survive. I'd like to thank our host this past 4 weeks, Tracy Memorial Library, where they serve New London's community by providing access to diverse ideas and information through a wide variety of library materials, services, technology, and programs. Join us next week for an all-new edition of Yankee Chronicle. Tune into our live Game of the Week highlighting our Kearsarge Cougar teams in basketball action. You can find it on NCTV 8, TDS TV 13 and 1013, and YCNNow.com. Replays are every Sunday and Monday at noon and 7 p.m. and anytime on demand at YCNNow.com. Check the program schedule at YCNNow.com for the most up-to-date information on games, Yankee Chronicle, and specials. We'll see you next week with another round of your Who, What, Where, and When show of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region. I'm Abby Peel, your host. Maple sugar sweet thoughts for everyone.
This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.